The European Commission has been forced to abandon new guidance that encouraged staff to say happy holidays instead of happy Christmas.
It prompted a sharp backlash from politicians in Europe, with some accusing the Commission of trying to cancel the holiday. So, is it insensitive to say happy Christmas? And should we, like the Americans, be saying happy holidays instead? Joining us now, Dr. Rakib Ehsan, research fellow at the Henry Jackson Society, says it's nonsense to ban happy Christmas, and human rights lawyer Adam Wagner, who says he thinks happy holidays should be the normal term. Why, Adam?
Well, happy holidays and happy Christmas. I have no issue with happy Christmas, actually, and I don't think anything should be banned. And I think as soon as we start talking in this way of, well, you must say this and not this, I think people get very riled up, and I think fair enough, because it feels divisive. But I do think, look, I'm Jewish. I don't celebrate Christmas. We don't have a Christmas tree. And I think a lot of other people in the country don't celebrate Christmas as well, though most people do. And I think when we have these conversations, it really should be more about, well, how can we be a bit more inclusive? Not what do we ban? What do we force people to say? But, this time of year, there are people who, I've got colleagues at work who are religious Jews or religious Muslims. I wouldn't say to them, Merry Christmas during this time of year, because I don't expect they're going to be having a particularly Merry Christmas. They're not following Christmas. They're doing something else. So I don't have any issue at all with people thinking a bit more inclusively. But I certainly don't think anybody should be banning anything, because I don't think anybody wants to ban anything, actually. I think that's it's really much more about being a bit more thoughtful and also learning about other people's traditions, because not everybody does Christmas, as lovely as it is.
Adam Wagner, who's against learning against other people's traditions? Nobody. It feels divisive, Adam Wagner, because it is. Firstly, I should say happy fourth day of Hanukkah. There were people trying to ban this. It was called the European Commission. They actually issued guidelines. That doesn't bring communities together. It divides them, doesn't it, Dr. Ehsan?
Oh, I couldn't agree more, Rob. I think there's far too much American-inspired divisiveness being imported into the UK. And we also saw efforts within our own country. We had cabinet office officials essentially advising government ministers not to use the term Christmas in its public health messaging when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic, because it could potentially offend minority religions. Rob, there's no evidence of that. There's been no polling on showing that non-Christians find the term Christmas offensive. And the reality of the matter is that Brits from different walks of life celebrate Christmas. It's a time to enjoy with your loved ones, appreciate the good you have in life, and reflect on the past year's events. So I do feel that there's an overprotectiveness. Quite frankly, I think there are these kind of virtue signalling types within the public sector who have somewhat of a white savior complex. They're looking to protect religious minorities who may be offended by the term Christmas. I'm fairly well integrated.
Sure. Just let me stop you there, because Adam, I just want to clarify. Did you say that you wouldn't expect somebody who celebrates Christmas to say Happy Christmas to someone who doesn't?
I mean, I don't. Everybody's different, but I do think there are lots of people who don't celebrate Christmas. And I think, look, I bring this up every year. It comes up every year in my life because I don't celebrate Christmas. And
if I said Happy Christmas to you, would that be?
I would say Happy Christmas, but I wouldn't be offended at all. It's just when people say to me Happy Hanukkah, it feels great, and I'm really happy because people are
But I'm not Jewish, and it would feel great to me as well if someone said that to me.
Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Also, it doesn't coincide with Christmas. It's going to be finished in 4 days' time.
No, but it does quite often coincide with Christmas. It's a bit early this year. But this time of year, there are other festivals and there are other things going on. And I just think it's kind of it's almost like a phony debate. There's every year, Marks and Spencer say don't say Christmas when you're selling drinks or whatever it is.
That's because Christmas happens every year.
No, but I mean this debate happens as if somebody's trying to stop people celebrating Christmas. I don't think that's it at all.
But as Rob says, this didn't come out of nowhere, Adam. This came out because the European Commission
I know, and I don't agree with that. But look, I've lived in America. I lived in New York, where they do generally say Happy Holidays, and every time you see a Christmas tree, there is a Jewish Hanukkah and there are Diwali, ornaments, and I think that's really nice. And I think that in the UK we can be a little bit blind to what else is going on, because we think, well, I think a lot of people just assume that everybody does Christmas because, as your other guest said, well, it's just a part of British culture. And I think I slightly disagree with that. I'm not sure whether, as a British person, you need to feel obliged to celebrate a Christian festival, which is what Christmas is.
Nobody's obliging anybody to celebrate anything. This is, I mean, you're a lawyer, a human rights one. There's no human rights being breached here, and if there are, no doubt you'll tell me. You certainly can't think of one. I just simply don't understand it. What I am troubled by is this is, and I emphasise that word, part of the culture wars here. And this is your point, Dr. Ehsan, as well. What worries me is that this discussion around Christmas is really a way of dividing the poorest, to get them to shout at each other in order to, avoid attention on the fact that governments aren't doing things for those poorest communities. So everybody's eyes are on this side issue when there are really big things that we need to be worrying about. As a human rights barrister, Adam Wagner, that should trouble you, not this nonsense.
I mean, I just don't recognise that. I don't even understand the point, to be honest. I think this is more about, this isn't about sort of diverting attention from anything. It's about a time of year which can be, I think, I'm guessing for people might disagree with me, but a little bit isolating for certain members of the community who don't celebrate Christmas, where everything's dominated by Christmas. So I think I don't want to divide anybody. I don't think anybody needs to stop doing anything they don't want to do, but just thinking a bit more about how to be inclusive in language, in traditions, in what party you have at work, in how you set out your, your greetings. I think it's a nice thing. So that's all I'm saying.
Dr. Ehsan, it's an interesting point that these things provide a distraction, and they're a kind of culture war distraction. I wonder whether either of you are troubled about the actual news this morning that apparently last year Boris Johnson broke the COVID rules in order to attend a party when restrictions meant we weren't supposed to be socialising indoors. Dr. Ehsan, is that something that troubles you? The one rule for them, another for the rest of us?
I think that definitely troubles me. It places a strain on state-citizen relations in our country. Well, I think it's a really good point that this is somewhat of a distraction. To be honest, I want to see civil servants concentrating more on sorting out the compensation for victims of the Windrush scandal. We don't need them to protect religious minorities. In terms of the use of the term Christmas, I'm hyper integrated in an incredibly diverse working class community here in Luton. To my understanding, the conversations at the local mosques, mandirs, gurdwaras and synagogues, the conversations are not being dominated by shared expressions of outrage over the term Christmas.
And Adam Wagner, I know you've done incredible and very detailed work explaining the restrictions to us throughout this pandemic, throughout the lockdown. So specifically in your capacity as somebody who examines the law, on the 27th of November, Boris Johnson apparently gave a speech at a leaving party for an aid. We were in lockdown at that point. And then on the 18th of December, separately, there was apparently a Christmas party, according to the Mirror. Up to 50 staff held a party. Is there an exemption for either of those two events, do you think?
I mean, I really doubt it. At the time, both in the November lockdown and the December sort of tier 3 time, which is what the Christmas party was in, you couldn't have a gathering of more than one person indoors unless it was reasonably necessary for work. And the government itself had actually put out guidance at the time saying, don't have Christmas parties, do not have work Christmas parties. It's very clear guidance. So if that's true, and there was a Christmas party at number 10, which was a sort of social gathering, apparently with Secret Santa and that sort of thing, then I think that probably was illegal. And the people who organised it could, if they had been caught at the time, could have been given £10,000 fixed penalty notices. So, and, that's, I think it was actually pretty straightforward, the law at the time.
Right, well, we will put that to Sajid Javid, the Health Secretary, who will be with us at 8:30. For now, Dr. Ehsan, Adam Wagner, thank you both very much.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah.
You celebrate...
Happy Hanukkah. You see, that wasn't so difficult.